This episode of Lawyers Tell All is brought to you by the Intake Academy. Are you ready to convert more callers to qualified cases, rapidly qualify good cases, and transform unqualified prospects to advocates for your firm, whether you're able to handle their case or not? Visit www.intakeacademy.com and discover how to cement relationships with more of your ideal clients. Get them to commit to you and send you more referrals than you ever thought possible. Welcome to the Lawyers Tell All podcast, where Chris Mullins, the preeminent sales and communications consultant in the legal industry, shows you how it looks through lawyers' eyes. Here, innovators in the trenches provide powerful insights that help you connect with new clients, handle the sometimes harsh realities of the legal profession, and embrace the mindsets needed to succeed. Be sure to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, lean in, tune in, and let's take a deep dive.
Hello, everyone. It's Chris Mullins with Lawyers Tell All, and today I'm interviewing Hector Quiroga, and I'm going to let Hector tell you a little bit about himself. Go ahead, Hector.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hector Quiroga. I am an immigrant from Colombia. Came the year of 2000. Didn't speak English right out of high school. Then kind of put myself through ESL, then college, then law school, then founded a firm that has been running now for almost 16 years here. Founded it with my wife. She was ahead of me in law school a couple of years, and so yeah, I kind of founded it with her, but she kind of started it, and I kind of was her law clerk. And it's been a great run doing this. We didn't start as immigration lawyers. We started as a well, actually, we did everything: civil litigation, civil landlord-tenant. We did family. We did personal injury. We also did landlord-tenant, and we did pretty heavily bankruptcy for a period of time. And so that's kind of how I got started in the States. And it's been a great run, and we keep doing good by our clients, and so that keeps me happy.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your book.
So I just published a book last November. Prove Them Wrong is the name of the book. So it's one immigrant's 10-year journey from bankrupt to millionaire. And it talks about precisely kind of what that journey was, the self-discovery that I had to get into to learn how to run a law firm successfully. There was a lot more than I thought, things I did not learn in law school and that I thought I would learn in law school. And in learning and studying, I found that there was a lot of personal development that needed to be done in order to successfully operate. And so personal growth precedes business growth. And so that's kind of how all started, and doing a deep inside journey really helped me get into the things that I needed to do. And it helped. It's amazing that the firm started to grow after that, right? So we're about 300 employees at this moment in time. We're looking at about 7 offices open throughout the United States, and we keep growing. And so we thrived through the pandemic. We did well, and we're very, very happy. But Prove Them Wrong was about that, and then the title of the book really has a lot to do with just this whole no, you can't do it, or you're Latino, you have an accent, or you can't really practice law here. Only like less than 3% of the population of lawyers happen to be immigrants themselves. So everybody would tell you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't open a law firm unless you have experience. You can't do this, you can't do that. You can't pass the bar exam. And so I was denied entrance to law school 7 times. My LSAT score was never good. So I was kind of...
Time out. So every once in a while when you say something, I'm going to interrupt you like that because I want to elaborate.
Yes.
What did you say? Yeah. How many times did you say you had to? 7 times?
7 times.
And what did you say about your score?
My score on the LSAT was not very good.
Okay.
I never got good.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
So with the scores low and everything else, you get discouraged, right? The discouragement fraternity, right? Everybody tells you you can't, and this just didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me why I couldn't be an attorney. And so basically, I had to shift gears. I had to find a law school that would, in fact, accept me. And then did very well my first year of law school. I was top of my class. I had straight A's. And then I was able to transfer back to the law school that I wanted to go to. And mainly I wanted to go to because my wife and kids, were in Spokane, Washington. So this is a Gonzaga University. I wanted to come back. Otherwise, I probably would have just finished on the other law school. But I transfer and yeah, so prove them wrong was kind of like I gotta prove you wrong. I gotta prove all of you who have not believed that you can actually do it. And this type of thing has fueled me too in my career as a lawyer. Immigration is a difficult field. You have very little rights, very just got very little to work with. But by golly, we'll make it count. We'll make it count. We'll prove them wrong all the way to the Supreme Court if we need to. But we're just gonna keep fighting. So yes, so that's kind of the title of the book, and it kind of tells all about that. How do you get to that authenticity, to get to that personal development, to be able to talk with confidence, to be able to transmit that energy to everybody, to be able to transmit that energy to your clients, so they feel that you're the right person for their matter.
Mhm. Okay, so what happened? Like when you kept hearing you can't, where did that begin in your life?
So it's interesting as an immigrant, right? So my parents are lawyers, both my dad and my mom, they're attorneys in Colombia. And so is my grandpa, my sisters are lawyers. So I come from a long line of lawyers, right? And so down there, I was pretty much given you were going to be a lawyer. Like my whole life, it's just kind of like that you're likely going to be a lawyer. In fact, some people kind of told me, try something different, right? But it was kind of like, chances are you're going to be a lawyer. So I came to the States to study English. And my point was I want to go back to Colombia and probably go to law school. So what happens down there is in most of Latin America, you go to you go to high school and then you go straight to law school. And it's about a 5-year period of law school. There is not an undergraduate degree in the middle like there is in the US. And so when I came, and I was like, I want to be a lawyer, right? And so, you really have to do very well. You have to, get into undergrad, and it was just weird. So, but it was funny because, in the middle of this, my parents are divorced, and my mom was living in the States. I was living with my father. My mom was in the States. Things in Colombia weren't so good. So my dad said, look, you might need to look for your mother. Things are kind of rough here. I'm not sure that you really could come back. My dad was, high profile lawyer and had different things. And so I was like, that's interesting. So I looked for my mom. My mom was passing through Spokane, Washington at the time. So I came up to Spokane, and it was through that process that it was interesting to me that almost overnight I went from, you're going to be a lawyer, you were born into a lawyer, you're going to be, and overnight I was like, only less than 3% people do it. It's very expensive. It's going to take many years of school. Student loans are bad. Insurance is expensive. I mean, you're not going to pass the bar exam. It was almost overnight. And so it was interesting because some of them were my actual teachers, my professors at a University of Texas. When I was studying ESL, there was one that told me, like, I was like, listen, I got to learn English in one semester because I got to get to my academic degree very quickly, and I can't just be here for years learning English. I have to really be able to just do it. And understand, when I came, my exam, they did a placement exam, and it's like apple, banana, and the numbers. That's the extent of the English language that I knew. And so they were kind of like, well, look, there's 6 levels, so it's like 1A, B, right, 2. A, B. So there's 6 levels. When you look at that, you're looking at like 6 years of schooling. I was level A. In other words, AB 1, AB. So I was below 1. I was at the very beginning. So obviously this professor, very academic, came to me and said, look, listen, you're only human. You're just not, your plan is just not workable. And I remember being so offended. I remember just being so offended. I just remember thinking, how can an individual who literally met me 20 minutes ago can make an assessment on my capability and my intellect that quickly? Now, again, I understand, right? I was asking to speed 6 years of schooling into 1 semester, but I was really, that was it, right? So that's the how thing that in the book I talk about, like, this is what started fueling me, right? It was just like, I started getting kind of mad, but I don't mean mad on an angry way where I would just scream at somebody, but it was just more like you would just use it to just be like, I'll show you. Oh, you think so? I'll prove you. And so it starts and then it develops later. So using those rejections, using that lack of confidence helped, it really helped me grow, right?
Yeah. So my question is, how or who helped to influence you to go, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong? Like, where did that come from?
Well, I think this is interesting. I think the mindset was there. I think when you grow in a family that it's just like the expectation was you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or probably an engineer or an architect. That was your choices, right? That's kind of what it was. Then you kind of like just grow. So there's expectations that you're going to do well. And I think those expectations were there. The fact that geographically changed, they were very much integrated in my being, and I wanted to be a lawyer. So it was interesting because I always said I was born to be a lawyer. I really love these. And when I started, right, there was people like that told me in my family, don't be a lawyer. I'm like, no, I'll be a lawyer. And everybody's like, yeah, you want to be a lawyer because your dad is a lawyer, because you want. No, I really want to be a lawyer. And so it was kind of like, that had nothing to do with that. But here I had a chance to prove that I really wanted to go at this and do it. So I think that's where that's coming from,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So your book, hold your book up again, because you put it down a little too fast. Put your book up again.
So my book's right here.
Yeah. Prove them wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right.
So you said bankruptcy to millionaire. Is that what you said?
Yes. So it's one immigrant's 10-year journey from bankrupt to millionaire.
Okay. So tell us about that.
So great. So, I graduated 2009, right after the whole meltdown of the financial markets. It was really hard to get a job as a lawyer, right? So, my wife graduates 2 years ahead, like I said, and then I kind of come out and we're just kind of looking at this, and I'm starting to think like, wait a minute, like we don't, the time that is going to take me to figure out how to get a job is probably going to be the same time that it would take me to figure out how to operate a law firm. Right. That was my mindset. It was like, I want to put 40 hours trying to do resumes, interviews, blah, 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 blah. Or do I put 40 hours into pushing something? And so, I just was kind of I was just kind of like trying to look at this and see, like, can we do this? And that was the mindset of opening. So when we got there, one of the problems is I was living in student loans. I was living in student loans like everybody else. My wife had just gone through law school herself. So we had her loans, but I had my loans and I had undergrad loans. So we were sitting in almost $500,000 worth of student loan debt when we calculated it years later, because you kept, it keeps compounding interest, and we kept deferring it and deferring it and deferring it. And so, and I go through this process in the book quite a bit, and I go and I say, look, a prosecutor in the area I live, they were starting at like 60,000, 68,000. How am I going to pay this debt, right? And it was interesting because for me, I worked so hard to get into law school. I would go like 7 times a night. I worked so incredibly hard to get in that I couldn't really say the law school did this to me because I was almost, it was a big thing for me to get in. So
Yeah.
but nevertheless, through the process of the self-discovery, I started realizing that I was just being a victim. I was feeling like a victim. I was feeling like, oh no, the job market, the financial market, the law school, my teachers, nobody taught me. And instead of spending the time figuring out how not to pay the loans, and so what happens is we file for bankruptcy right as we graduate. The financial aid money ran out, and we're like, well, can't pay the bills, so we filed bankruptcy. We lost our home, and we just do. Now, as you know, it's very difficult to discharge student loan debt on a bankruptcy in a Chapter 7. There are ways, but you don't. So through that process, I learned bankruptcy because we were so broke that we couldn't even hire a lawyer to do our own bankruptcy. So what happens is Casey's my wife, she had taken a class in law school, and that was the extent of our experience. And so we took a hack at our own banco and learned it. And because the country was going through such a hard time, we thought, well, actually, this is probably great. So I was a bankruptcy lawyer by accident almost.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really, and so that whole thing kind of happened. And so there was another issue, which was like all my life is like, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer. That you graduate, right? And you're like, now what? Like, I got this degree. I'm a lawyer. Now what? Like I was kind of lost a little bit, right? Like I don't know. So sure, I'll do bankruptcy, and then my wife wanted to do bankruptcy because she really likes that area of law and was really good at it. So she taught me, and I was doing kind of bankruptcy for a period of time. And but I was kind of not. I didn't know what I wanted, right? I was kind of drifting, right? I was just kind of drifting, and so to all the lawyers that are out there, it's just like until you find that one thing that you love, that you truly are called to do, it's just very hard. And so I was swimming upstream, right, without knowing, right. And so it took me 5 years to go, what the hell, until I really had to get honest with myself and say, what do I want? And so when I realized that I wanted to help immigrants, I really had, I had become a citizen by then. I had gone through the process of getting my green card, all of these other things. I always thought that I would be like a litigator. I enjoy a good fight, like many lawyers do. I enjoy a good fight, right? Like that's great. But you know what? Once I was litigating, I didn't realize how vexing and how stressful that would be. I mean, it was just, having trial after trial. I did a lot of family trials, a lot of discovery, a lot of stuff. It's like, it just gets, and you got, sometimes it was the members of the bar that were the worst, right? The colleagues that are trying to get to your license and they're trying to seek this and it gets so personal sometimes where it's just like, guys, we're representing this individual, but you don't have to. And I understand that sometimes that's just the way this goes. So I felt that, maybe I just really want to help people. Right. And I felt like what areas of law and this immigration thing came on. And there were people driving 2-3 hours to come talk to me because I would, be able to like speak their language. And so it was like, it was always there, but you just don't see it, And so like, it's funny because I talk on the cover of the book, you have an individual with a backpack,
Okay.
And I talk a lot of the emotional trauma and the backpack, and he's like climbing towards the flag. Right. And so when you're climbing towards the flag is very close, actually, right? And here's funny, we all see the backpack, but the person who's climbing, who gets so used to the backpack, to the weight of the backpack, you sort of even forget it's there. Yeah. It's like emotional trauma, right? Like everybody else can point out a problem, and as lawyers, we do this all the time. You can have a consultation, or you can spot the issue miles away, but the person can't see it, right? So it's like the backpack. So I was thinking, gosh, now that I look back, I'm like, that was obvious, right? But I just didn't. So once I was able to come to that conclusion, we went through a process of niching, just to finding our niche. And it took a lot of, really took a lot of courage, right? Because, we were doing all sorts of stuff. We were doing all sorts of stuff that I just didn't want to do. And I cannot tell you, like, at that point we were like 4 people working with us. We were barely making payroll. We were just kind of you go from paycheck to payroll, right? That's kind of what ends up happening. And I cannot tell you how many times I had a probate or state plan or a case, a PI case that I just settled. And so when I had to stand in there and start saying, we're not taking any more state case, but is one right here willing to pay, and you need to make a payroll, and having to say no, right?
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of one. So it's pretty interesting how I went through that process. So yes.
Yeah. And so, let me ask you, I'll ask you a question, and then I want you to open your book and read a passage in your book, any place that you want. So my question is, when did things turn around for you? Like, what was the moment? What happened?
I'm sorry, exactly what are you asking to change? The financial status?
The financial.
Financially.
Yeah.
So it kind of happened, I niched down, I was able to come in, and then what happens is you start making a profit, you start turning in. And so there was a question somebody asked me, and I talk about seminars and really working with advisors, and some people call them coaches. I like advisors more than anything else, but you work with different people, and one of them asked me one question and said, what is the one thing that is holding you back? What is the one thing that if you can just say, if I was able to fix this one thing, life would be different, right? And really, it was really funny because I was able to say, student loans. The student loans are totally holding me back. I need to pay them back. And they were like, no, really. It has to be deeper than that. And it was really student loans. That was a huge one. And then once I really locked this on my mind, I talked to my wife and said, look, we're just going to pay these damn things off. We started throwing every dime at it, like every dime at it. We paid $500,000, close to $500,000 in student loan debt. And then really after that, it was like you had all this extra income. So then you were able to grow crazy, right? So for me, it was that was kind of like the one thing is like focusing my energy on what I want, not on what I don't want. So let's just pay them out and not focusing my energy on how to avoid paying them. That was one thing.
Yeah, right.
The other one had to do with another advisor, another interaction, which was really interesting. And so when I was doing bankruptcy, we went through this process, and I was doing bankruptcies for $400. Even back in the day, that was nothing. I used to go in Craigslist and I used to do $400. I was doing the whole banco. I mean, I was saying from schedules to going to immediate creditors to going to discharge. And if there was a adversary, I would take the adversary. They would pay the fees, but I would, there would be a very little additional cost. So I would be doing all of that. Not even bankruptcy prepared us for doing it for that little. Like it was like absolutely nuts. And so what happened is I had a lot of clients. I had a lot of cases because I was doing a lot of bankruptcies. And so now when you go to this meeting of creditors, at least the way we do it on this district is you go in and then everybody comes to the meeting of creditors. The debtor comes with their lawyer, and they're kind of all scheduled at the same time. So you can kind of gauge a little bit, and I was showing up to meeting of creditors with, 5, 6, 7 clients. Mm-hmm. There were some meeting of creditors where it was just my clients and maybe another lawyer. It was, and so what happens is my ego was very, very bloated because it was like, look at all the business I have, right? And that was it, right? I was bankrupting myself, and I was just working like a dog, getting these things through, barely making it, right? But I never thought I had an issue with sales. I never thought I had a issue with marketing. It just never occurred to me. So in talking with this advisor, it's going like, you have to raise your prices.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I was very hesitant to do this. And we went for a while on this, and he finally said, look, I don't understand. I mean, most lawyers have an issue raising pricing. There's a point where we all like, ooh, that's too expensive, but you're a special man. Like, you are really like, now.
Yeah.
Are you sure there is something there? Are you sure there's something there? They press me. So then this comes out, right? So I was sexually abused as a child. And I have never talked to anybody about this. So I was like, but honestly, I was like, I was sexually abused. And he goes, there you go. Have you got that checked out? Have you talked to anybody? I'm like, no. My family told me never talk about this, right? This was a kind of a caretaker in Colombia, the son of a caretaker in Colombia, and my dad had made somewhat of a homophobic comic, and he was kind of like, important thing is that you don't keep liking it, kind of thing, and then just be quiet. And I remember as a kid, I was, as a child, my biggest concern was, I just don't, I don't know that, um, um, I don't know if I say something, I don't have evidence. Nobody's going to believe me. I remember that being and then I mustered enough courage, like 8 months, 9 months later, because this happened several times. But anyway, I described the situation in the book, but I mustered enough courage to tell my mom and to tell my dad. And the reaction was very much like, don't tell anybody, this is down. They removed the threat. These caretakers were gone. There was no, but it was very sort of clean and quiet, right? There was no drama, which is, I think, what I was expecting, right? And so, and then this was never spoken of anymore. Right? I remember I did tell my wife, just before we got married, I said, look, this happened, and it was barely any details. So I just like, well, this happened. He goes, there you go. He said, I really think that you have to go talk to therapist. And really, I was like, oh, man, really? I was like, listen, this hasn't been an effect. I made it to law school. I'm a successful lawyer. I have all these cases. I need you to help me make money. I don't need you to send me to therapy. This is dumb. So my attitude was not the best. However, we were paying all this money to this like advisor. But I thought, you know what? Why don't I just do what they say? Because what's the point of paying somebody
if you're not going to listen to them?
If you're not going to listen to them? And really, I'm voicing my very objection that I have with my own clients. How many times do you tell a client not to do that, and that's exactly they go do, and then blame you for it, right? So I thought, just do it. So I went in. I did found a counselor, paid for the counseling sessions, went. And I started talking about this thing. And I tell you what, it's just, oof. It's just like, now the counseling session itself wasn't anything special. It's not like I went in but it got me talking, and it got all of these emotions out and this shame out and all this stuff. And then what would start happening is that I became a lot more authentic. And I think when you are talking to a client and you say, listen, I'm not really sure we're going to win your case, but I can tell you, we're going to try. We're going to try very, very hard. I think you're in good hands. We'll give it a good chance. And you are transmitting that energy, then suddenly you get to get clients a lot, right? Better. And I wasn't no longer doing it as the cheapest lawyer in town. Okay. I was doing it with one that was actually, and so that authenticity, that be able to work inside, help out a lot. It turned out I had a lot of trust issues that I didn't know about. So, I make this example a lot because I know people relate, but you know how hard it is for us lawyers to let somebody check our email, right? We just don't like that. And we don't, because we don't trust it. But it's funny because we allow people to look through our mail, paralegal, legal assistants, they calendar it, they do this stuff, but personal email, no, that's mine. I can do that. And in reality, it's like, that's not different than the other one. I mean, we should be able to. So for me, it was like that. I would not allow anybody to help me. I would, like, for example, I would call the printer person, and the printer person would come in, and I would be watching them like a hawk just to make sure that they did not change the password on the thing, or they didn't take a screwdriver to it. And I wouldn't allow them to help me, right? And this was true with everything. I was answering the phone. I would come to the office to the boardroom, and I would just do the bills. I would print them, and then I would leak the envelopes, and I would send them to the clients. And and it was a lot of scarcity mentality, right? It's like, ooh, well, I don't want to pay somebody to do that, so I'll do it. And so through this, I started valuing me and my time and what I'm doing. And I have understanding that there is work for people who want to do that work, who will give value while I work on things that are going to impact more, right? It was about impact. And so those realizations, I think, combined, start really fostering a business that is thriving, that is both able to talk to clients, transmit the right energy, and then be able to delegate the tasks so things can flourish.
Well, perfect. It's so exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I'm really, really, really happy for you. Wonderful. Okay. So turn to any page in your book and just read whatever you come to, like a passage in your book. And then tell everybody what page it's on.
Okay. So look, so 35. So this one was dedicated to sales skills. And it was the Arjun show. Arjun is the advisor. Arjun was going to teach us sales. Sales is not the biggest problem of a firm I was dealing with. We had at least 10% of the bankruptcy market in Spokane, often more clients than we can handle. So getting higher was easy. I was honored what he would teach us. I was wondering what he can teach me. Still, I was curious about Casey's initial experience when she saw him speak, and I was hoping by going, I would finally see it. So what happens is there was a seminar, there was a CLE class, and we picked different places to go, different CLEs. We picked this. This is during the time that we're so broke, right? We say, so Casey had her reporting year, so she had to do her CLE classes, and we picked the CLE, which was like practice management, because it was the cheapest one we can find. We literally made the decision on the cheapest credits we can find. And so she went, and then she came back home, and I described the situation in the book. She was going through a really hard time, or the puppy had died, her grandma had passed. It was just, we were going through bankruptcy. It was just a hard time in her life. So she was downright depressed or past depression at this point. And so she comes and she's fired up. She is like fired up. She's like, listen, you gotta listen to this guy. He's telling me that there are different parts of that. You gotta set up policies, procedures, systems. You will love this guy, because, I kind of had that a little bit, but I just like, and I was to a point where I was about to quit. I was about to just go teach Spanish. I was like, look, I would be better working at a high school teaching Spanish than trying to hack at this thing. I have tried it all in my view. I had done everything. I was working, when people tell you work more, I was working 168 hours a week. I was working all of them. I would work, I sleep very little, but I was pushing so hard. I knew it wasn't more effort. I was just not doing the right kind of effort. Yeah. So when she sees him and she's so fired up and she goes like, oh, but we have to go to Miami. I'm like, no way. So then we go to Miami and we just kind of meet him. So I'm kind of like, who is this guy? I was very curious because I was kind of like, oh, what did she see here? Mm-hmm. And so slowly, I started working with Arjun and them, and they showed me so much, and that was great. And really just having the humility to listen and open my eyes, and really to listen to something like, I thought I was great at this, at sales, and I was great at and you are not. And it really showed me how your ego can really fool you. The thing that you think you're so great at, are you really, or are you just telling yourself that, right? And the evidence was there, but I just never considered being the cheapest in town. That's why, right? So, yes. Right.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Good job, Casey.
Yes.
Good job.
Yes.
Casey. Yeah, wonderful. Well, so any last words for everybody? What's your last message you want to tell all the attorneys that are listening?
You go prove them wrong, my friend. Prove them wrong. Those guys that are fighting for justice, and you just have to file that motion, you have to file that appeal, and you know in your heart that maybe the law says that, but it's an unfair law. You got the tools. Just let that fuel you up to the next. Use that moments of headache and desperation to prove them wrong.
Awesome. Awesome. So how can everybody get in touch with you and then your book and all of that?
Right. So I'm in Amazon, Prove Them Wrong by Hector Quiroga, or at QuirogaLawOffice.com. So that's QUIROGA lawoffice.com. That's our website. And, we're all on social media channels as well. But I am there. They can certainly reach out, email me, Hector at QuirogaLawOffice.com. I'll be glad to answer questions and just encourage you, inspire you to make this a great country, that it is.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So long, everybody. Lawyers Tell All. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Lawyers Tell All, where Chris Mullins takes you on a journey with lawyers in the trenches who show you the realities of what it takes to succeed in this chaotic, crowded, ever-changing profession. Remember to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on Lawyers Tell All.